Kyle here from allmuterviews.blogspot.com. I'm going to feature, hopefully this won't be too long, my collection in brief, or albeit somewhat brief, history with the somewhat on hiatus now North Carolina progressive college indie alternative progressive rock band House of Fools, which I have a t-shirt. In fact, let me go get that. If I'm not mistaken. Apologies for this, but I'm not wearing it today, but this is one of a few different House of Fools t-shirts. I saw them live only one time, sadly. But anyway, I found out about House of Fools through, I believe it was Alternative Press. Not that I read that magazine all that often, because Alternative Press was like, you know, the emo, Warped Tour sort of fan base, scenester as I refer to them. But they did 100 bands you want to know issues every year for a number of years, and I bought them a couple years, and they had some of the prog stuff in there once in a while, and a lot of bands I hadn't heard of. And Annuals is another one that I discovered through there. Protest the Hero. There's some good bands that showed up on those lists for a few years there. I think it was in 2006 that I read about. Even though Sirens were in there too. House of Fools. So it took me a long time to find this stupid thing because when you move, stuff gets put in different boxes and you don't know where it goes. But so they formed, I don't know, in the early 2000s, 2003, 2004. But they finally put out their first release in 2006. They had this debut album they've been talking about. They were on MySpace. That's why I went to MySpace after seeing the article in Alternative Press. The description was like, Keen and the Flaming Lips doing like Alice in Wonderland, Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper's-esque kind of music, rock music. The Keen comparisons, I wasn't a huge Keen fan, but I always sort of wanted to like them and thought the comparison to a band I might like. Again, Flaming Lips also, but the band, though, that they probably draw as much, if not the most inspiration from, is Pink Floyd, which they share that with the Flaming Lips. So, but this is their debut EP, the self-titled, which has Live and Learn and Better Part of Me, and then some other songs that didn't make what would be their debut album. It was supposed to come out, I think, on the label they're on, Drive Through Records, in 2006, but then it got pushed back. It came out March 6, 2007, which a few other pretty big deal records came out that exact same date. Set Sail the Prairie from Caddisfly, and Blackfield's second album, Blackfield 2. And there was one other too, I can't remember, but anyway, so this is the EP that came out in 2006 before that full length. Actually, Caddisfly did the same kind of thing. But I went into the MySpace, and I think it was Until It's Over was just flooring me. The dynamics, the crescendo, the emotion behind Josh King's vocals, and the it was proggy. It's not proggy in the sense of like highly technical or completely complex, but it was enough. It was definitely an interesting psychedelic, blues based, modern rock music that was modern sounding enough. So I got the EP, and I love some of the tracks that were on MySpace. Until It's Over was on there. It's not on the EP, but and Live and Learn. So, but then just a few short months later, because I think this came out like in October or November of 2006. It doesn't have a date. I don't have the release dates of that. But then that date, March 6, 2007, Live and Learn came out, and it was 14 tracks. I don't know if it's a concept album exactly. See, it even mentions the Alternative Press article. I think it was 2006, though. Yeah, innovative yet timeless. Fools flip between progressive and indie rock and hooky choruses. Yeah, there was like a southern element to their sound. I almost hear like, and I'll tell about that a little bit more in a few minutes, like an Allman Brothers kind of thing, or Lynyrd Skynyrd. But the thing that kind of was interesting about this record is I really enjoyed it. And it was one of a handful of records that was popping up in the 2006, 2007, especially 2008, that I, just couldn't stop listening to this album. It's just, it flows so well. Until It's Over did make it. Now, the version on this is different than the version that was on the MySpace page. And there is an actual upload of the original version, and the whole album actually was a little different, a little mixed a little differently. But Better Part of Me, Interested, Coke and Smoke, the title track which ends the album. If you like sort of epic piano-driven rock with like a Southern element and a Pink Floyd element, this totally fit it. And the weird thing, I mean, the production isn't like the top-notch, but it still sounds good enough. But the interesting thing about it is, you know, I was trying to get at, all the other bands that were sort of popping up around that time on not social media, but the message boards and MySpace and a little bit of Facebook, you know, from Fair to Midland to, you know, Pure Reason Revolution, nobody in progressive rock circles gave a hoot about this band. I just never... They're one of a couple bands like this. They weren't prog enough, but then the Pitchfork audience kind of blew them off. Like, oh, they're just like Keane, but not as good, or I don't know. I don't get it. They had their sort of core fan base. Their record label, unfortunately, didn't do them well, and they had this whole legal thing that happened a few years later, why it took so long for the next record to come out. But the thing I also stress about this album, that, you know, that 2007 year, I was listening to a lot of new albums. The Deer Hunters, Act 2, Caddisfly Set Sail the Prairie, Ocean Sizes later, that was a little bit later, Colors from Between the Buried and Me, who also know them from North Carolina, but Ocean Sizes, the Frames, Fair to Midland's Fables from a Mayfly. This album would not go away. I just kept on thinking, oh, it's good, but it sounds... I kept on enjoying it more and more and more. Then I would go to Cheapo and some other stores, and I would see copies of this lying on the shelf. This and the Kiss Kiss album, Reality versus the Optimist. It would kind of depress me. Like, people bought them and didn't like it. You know, I didn't get it, but, you know, I probably have more than one copy, because I remember I was trying to buy copies of all this stuff. So it was like a long wait. That was 2007, and when Live and Learn came out, and when's the next album coming out? And I did see them, I think it was 2007, at the Caboose. I got in actually for a comp ticket from someone I know who was a part owner of the Caboose. It was a really big deal to finally see them. I remember that we had like 8 inches of snow out and stuff, but I went and saw them. I had to drive really slow back and forth going home in that weather, but talked to Josh King, who's the lead singer, and some of the other members, and I forget who was on the bill with them. I should look it up. It's on my concert list for a concert video. So finally, I think it was early 2012. It's like 2010, 2011. I actually found something that was known as Fresh Hot SIHT that had this song called Need to Be Free that was from them on one of the blogs, and some other demos and stuff. Need to Be Free was awesome. I love that. So, but that was still like 2010 when I noticed that, and they'd posted on their MySpace and Facebook page that they were working on new music, but they did finally put out in 2012 their second and last record at this point, Versus the Beast, and it did have the song Need to Be Free. A little different arrangement, but still good. A lot of these bubbly, heavy synths. And you know, for production-wise, this is probably a superior record to Live and Learn. I didn't get quite as attached to it. I still like it a lot, though. But I just the Versus the Beast was sort of kind of a natural progression, a natural follow-up. Dogfight's another one of the song Time. A lot of it's sort of cynical lyrically, sad. Josh King has one of those voices, the lead singer from House of Fools, that's very sympathetic sounding at points. But, you know, Johnny Utah, Oblivion's another one, the opening track that I like, When the Lights Go Out. There's a little, I think When the Lights Go Out has this little like, voicemail, you know, answer machine recording talking about their challenges, to say the least, with the record and the music industry, the record they were trying to release. You know, I did once see them live from Las Vegas on this stream. It was a really cool deal, you know, and I thought, they're getting a stream on one of these, like, services and stuff. They're gonna get really popular. Never really happened. So, I mean, there's a cult following. Live and Learn remains to this day one of the best records of the 2000s. If it ever came on vinyl, I would snatch it up. I don't think any of their stuff ever came on vinyl, but House of Fools, they're like Jellyfish at this point to me, but even smaller of a cult following. That they have 2 records, really good, but barely anyone's ever heard of their name. There's a movie or something called House of Fools. If you're a Keane fan, if you're a Pink Floyd fan, because they definitely draw a lot from Pink Floyd, especially the pre-Dark Side stuff, because they use a lot of acoustic elements at points, but especially the use of piano. And then I would say 2 other bands that sort of I think of to an extent with them. Ben Sinister, who I'm long overdue to do a video about, and I will be doing soon, to show both my CD stuff and my vinyl. And then Ramona Falls, the Brent Knopf of Menomina, who I'm due to do a video of. Ramona Falls is the sort of piano-driven, you know, progressive or art rock style of the 21st century, modern alternative progressive college rock with it's piano-driven, clean vocals. Call it indie, whatever. Those 3 bands kind of are almost their own small little pocketed genre. I mean, I kind of compare them, think they would appeal to fans of the Deer Hunter especially, but yeah, I love House of Fools. I don't know if they'll ever do anything else. Josh King put out a solo album a few years ago. I got it on vinyl. I think I did show it on a video, but anyway, go ahead, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.